Well, hello everyone, and welcome in once again tonight to another rockin' awesome evening here at the Six Screens. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I am up here at the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, and we are so pleased to see so many people coming in tonight. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was thinking a beautiful spring day like today that a lot of people will be out in the yard or maybe taking a ride, but boy, they're coming into the Six Screens, and we really, really do appreciate it. Well, friends, lots of things are happening in the Jehovah's Witness world. I think you have been keeping on top of it. I've been watching it, and I want to thank all those people for sending me news clips and articles that they find all week long. Keep sending them here to jwworldnews@gmail.com. I want to thank everyone that's been doing that. Excuse me, just had a cough here. But anyways, I just wanted to let everyone know too that things are moving forward. We've been talking about the convention still alive in 2025. And we've been talking about that every week now for the last 6 weeks. We do have an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention planned. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but we talk about it. Very important. We have well over 200 people that have already said they want to come. We were waiting for a code that you could use to book your rooms. The Hilton Hotel tells me now they can't give us that code until 11 months before the convention. Now, the convention is going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2025, not 2024, 2025. Very important. But they will not let me start having people book rooms until September 24. That's this September coming up. So we can't book any rooms, but you can at least, don't worry, folks, you'll get a room. You will get a room. I'll guarantee that. There's 200 rooms there. So we'll be one of the first to start booking in September 2024. But to give you an idea, it's a beautiful hotel. Well, let me see if I can put a couple of pictures up here just to kind of whet your appetite. This is a brand new Hilton Hotel right up here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And I think you'll find it. I'm just going to mute some people here. I got some background noise going on. But it's a beautiful hotel right up here in Tewksbury. It's right outside of Boston. It's about 20 miles north of Boston. But let me put a picture up. Let me just scroll down here and show you some pictures. These are really, really, really nice. This is the lobby. You're looking at the lobby. Look at that lobby. It's state of the art. So we're going to have room for 500 people. We have a convention center. They have room for 500 people. So that's what we're looking to get. And I think it might even go over that. We have over 200 already. But to give you an idea, if you would like to ticket, I know I've been receiving all the people have booked in. Don't worry. I got all your information. And very, very shortly, I was just waiting for a code, but I don't have a code. But so the next week, you'll start seeing your tickets. I'm numbering the tickets 1 through 500. So the first 500 tickets, those will be people who get seats in the main auditorium, or at least the auditorium adjacent to it, so you can at least listen to it. But if you don't get your number ticket, if you don't get a ticket, you might have to be in the lobby or poke your head in once in a while. So I just want to let you know that. So send me an email. Now, don't do it through YouTube comments or Facebook comments. I'm not going to see that. I'm going to miss it. But write me, jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll be able to send you the tickets via email. So you'll be able to come to the convention. Now, the convention is free. The convention is free. There's the bedroom right there. You can see how beautiful it is, folks. It's a beautiful, beautiful hotel. But the convention's free. Now, the rooms, I'm going to tell you right now, the rooms are a little pricey. They told me they're going to be about $175 a night. But that's in 2025. Even to get them to at least commit themselves to that, I thought was pretty good, because who knows what inflation will be. But anyways, that includes breakfast, 2 sit-down breakfasts. Now, these are not, a Danish muffin and some vanilla pudding. This is a good breakfast. This is a beautiful breakfast. If you walked in off the street and you had this breakfast, it would be $18. I checked it out the other day. So that includes 2 beautiful breakfasts. And that breakfast might even make it right through lunch for you. And there's also, I want to let you know, right near there, you don't have to eat there at the Hilton, because it does get a little pricey for lunch and dinner. But there is a Burger King. There's not a Burger King, but a Wendy's, a McDonald's. there's a Circle K store, there's a Cracker Barrel, all within walking distance. Take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe the most, all within walking distance. So it's something to think about. Now, if you'd like to come up here to Boston, you can make it your vacation. Come up and spend the whole week here. Go to the convention, then see some of the sites in Boston. I think you'll really find it very entertaining and very fascinating. So there's a lot to do here in Boston. But what I was saying, if someone wanted to come up, I've already had a number of people that wanted to book rooms, and they had an extra bed. And they said, Rick, if anybody wants to come and share the bedroom with me, I would be more than willing to do that. So if you would like to share a room, write me at JW World News, once again, jwworldnews@gmail.com, and let me know that, and I can start putting some of these people together. So still alive in 2025. We hope you can make it. We're looking forward to it. Now take a look at this picture here. There's a little fire pit. You can sit down, relax. It's going to be a great time. So try to make it up here to the convention. I know that you'll like it, and it'll be worth the trip. It really, really will be. So anyways, let me get the pictures off of here, and we'll move on to the next thought. I'm going to talk about the duck. Let's talk about the duck. Well, he's right up here. Can you see him up here? Well, let me pull him over here so you can see him. Here he is right here. That's the duck, okay? Now, what we do when our callers call in, and they can call in via the telephone line. I'll put that line up, the telephone number. Also, if you want to come in via video screen, and you want to be on video and talk at the same time, we have that opportunity for you as well. If you look in the YouTube description box, if you hit that link, that will bring you into the 6 screen so you can be in person live on video. Or if you don't want to be on video, you don't have to be on video. You can just be talking through your webcam, and you don't have to be on video. But we do have some people coming in now, and we might bring them in and say hello to them. Let's bring this couple on right now, just to give you an idea how this works. If you hit the video link, add them to the stage. Hello? Who do we have? Hello. Yes, hello. Who's this?
I'm Tado from Japan. English is not my first language, so it may be difficult to communicate. I just wanted to say a quick hello. Rick, thank you so much for your 20 years of work. I'm 61 years old and was born into a JW family and spent 30 years there. We send our love and greetings to all of you. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Tad, very much. Thank you, Tad. I believe that's your wife there with you, Tasha. Tashi?
Tasha?
Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, thank you for coming in from Japan. We want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know right now in Japan, the Jehovah's Witnesses are getting a lot. In fact, I was going to talk about that tonight on the news. But in Japan, Jehovah's Witnesses are getting a lot of attention over there in a bad way for the way they treat children. Have you heard about that, Tad?
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what's happening is all the countries, Tad, are catching up on Jehovah's Witnesses. They're beginning to find out how bad they are, how evil they are. And
Rick,
yeah.
Your wife Susan, we wish get well soon.
Well, thank you, Ted. Well, I'm telling you, she's listening in, so I'm sure she's hearing that. She'll appreciate that. She really will. Well, Ted, that's awful nice of you. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Alrighty. Goodbye now. Okay, so there you go. That is Tad and his wife Tashi. Wow, my goodness, all the way from Japan. See, this is great that we have this new StreamYard. So why don't you guys give it a try? If you're listening in, look at the YouTube description box. Hit that link, you'll come on. But we also have our telephone line. I'm going to put the telephone number up as well. But we're going to cover some news here tonight for you guys, so don't go anywhere. Let me first of all, let me put the telephone number up, so that's up there. But you can see the link to coming on StreamYard video, or just coming on and talking through audio. You can do that as well. But let me see if I can't get this telephone number up so you guys can see it. There it is right there. And okay, so that's a telephone number you want to dial in. But let's talk about some of the things that are going on. I just want to talk about the duck. If you hear this noise, that's the duck. Now, if that duck comes down, if you call in on the video suite like Tad and his wife just did, or if you call on the telephone line and in conversation, you say the secret word they have in this envelope. I got a sealed envelope here with the secret words, and there's 4 of them or 5 of them tonight. So if you say the secret word, we have some beautiful books we can send you. Nathan Natus of JWN. Oh, look at this book right here, People for His Name. Look, that is a beautiful book that's all about some of the founders and presidents of the Watchtower. And then over here, we have another book that Nathan Natus is nice enough to send to us. It's called The Desolation of the Sanctuary. And then over here, we all know this one, Millions Now Living Will Never Die. I want to give these books away. Nathan Natus wants you to have them. Now, what we'll do is this. I've already sent some out. If you were in the program the last couple of weeks, you should be getting them by now or very shortly. Takes a little while to get them out to you. But if you say the secret word tonight, and we'll reveal the secret words at the end of the program. If no one said it, we'll give you some clues so that you'll be able to win. So that's duck will be down if you hear that sound. All right, let's take a look and see what's going on. Well, we want to thank Atlantis. Well, he's our somewhat insider, and he gives us all this information that goes on in the meetings. Now, we know in the service meeting, you guys remember the service meeting? We would go into the service meeting and there would be announcements and reminders. And we all kind of perked our ears up. We wanted to hear what the announcements and reminders were. Well, Atlantis, our Watchtower insider, is nice enough to send me what the reminders and announcements are so far for May. Now, there's a lot of them in there concerning updates on the flock book and what have you, but the one that really caught my attention is the dress and grooming announcements. Yeah. So how do you think the dress and grooming announcements are going in the Watchtower organization? How do you think Jehovah's Witnesses are going along with all this? You think they're all following the tune to the governing body? Well, they had an update. We're going to play part of it here very shortly. One of the governing body members, Jeffrey Winder, he actually did an update talking about the grooming and what's going on with the brothers and sisters. And it appears as though the rank and file, they're becoming too loose. Yeah, too loose with their grooming. It's evidently backfiring to some degree. You know, you give people an inch, as the old saying goes, you give people an inch and they'll take a mile. Well, I think that's what's going on in the Watchtower right now. The Watchtower, just in the last couple of months, relaxed the dress codes, right? Women could now wear slacks. Men would not have to wear a tie or a sport jacket if they weren't on the stage. They didn't have to wear a tie or jacket if they went out in service. But now we're getting reports coming in, and we can see the governing body is also kind of upset about it, that they had to make a special update on the grooming and the dress that is now taking place. Many of the brothers and sisters, as I say, are too loose. The governing body with this update, they're showing that they didn't understand, evidently, the implications of that decision to change the dress code. We can only hope that this governing body update will get more Jehovah's Witnesses to wake up, because it looks like they're kind of suggesting don't go so far. It's almost like they're suggesting go back to the old way of doing business again. Friends, I want you to know this is what I would call a popcorn moment. This is a popcorn moment. There's no doubt about it. This is going to explode on the Watchtower. It's going to pop like a popcorn kernel, because it's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic on how they're, first of all, they relax all the dress codes, and then they come back, and you'll hear it. I'm going to play a little clip from the update with the governing body member saying it. But it's pathetic how from one update to another. Now, the update was the last couple of months. They talked about, you can now have a beard if you're brother. You can now, if you're a woman, wear slacks. And then now it looks like they're kind of pulling the plug, not on all of it, but giving more rules on their feelings toward this. They don't understand the implications of all of this. Well, what I'm going to do, let's play a portion of it. Let me play a portion of it. And then we have some people coming on. So you hang on there with us, Tim, and we'll bring you on here very shortly. But let's play a portion. And Tim, I want to get your thoughts on, if you can hear me, you get your thoughts on this one when I bring you on the stage here. So let me take a look here. Let's take a look. We're going to share the screen. Let's go over here to JW Governing Body Update. Let's share this. I'm going to share it right now. Hold on one second. And let me make it big screen so you can see it really good. So this is the update, and this is Jeffrey Wilder, and that's a Winder, I should say. So let's listen. Let's see if we can't. We're going to go 4 minutes in, and you're going to start talking about some of the new arrangements here. So let's go 4 minutes in. Let me do that right now. Find out where that was. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, let's go to 4 minutes in, and we'll be able to discuss this. Well, the letters are so small here. Oh, okay, hold on 1 second. 4 minutes in, and then he's going to start talking about it. Just give us a second. I can get it to the right timestamp. All right, let's start right there.
Updates about dress and grooming. We've talked about beards for brothers, slacks for sisters, and the use of jackets and ties for brothers. We're thankful that Jehovah trusts us in these matters. But some questions come up. First of all, do these adjustments about dress and grooming mean that we are lowering our standards? Not at all. Our worship of Jehovah deserves our deep respect and honor. These adjustments should not dilute the depth of our appreciation for serving Jehovah. More so, it's a recognition that styles change over time, and that what's considered acceptable, dignified dress for certain occasions also changes over time. For example, do you remember these images from the 2023 Governing Body Update number 8? We wouldn't expect that we would still dress as people did in Bible times, nor would we expect that we would still dress the same as people did 100 years ago. Times change. What's considered respectable and dignified dress and grooming changes over time. The adjustments announced in recent updates acknowledge that. Another question that arises with this new direction is, how do we make sure that we still dignify Jehovah and his worship?
Well, we'll play it again. Just hold on 1 second. Just want to say a couple of things as we're going forward. So there's your governing body member, Jeffrey, and he's talking about dress codes, and he's talking about. It seems like he's making up more rules. It seems like he's taking a walk back. Just last month and the month before the updates, they talked about the beards, they talked about the new dress code. Now, because I think it's backfiring in their face, in fact, we're hearing that, one particular congregation had a brother wear a Hawaiian shirt. Another congregation had a sister wearing, tight pants. So, they're seeing all of this and they're saying, whoa, did we open up Pandora's box here or what? So it's a very slippery slope that the governing body is on right now. So let's continue to listen in and see what else he has to say.
When it comes to beards, slacks, and not wearing ties. As is the case with all dress and grooming, there are a variety of styles. Let's consider 3 principles from God's Word. You know these principles, and you love Jehovah. We know that they are important to you. So let's see how these verses can guide us when making decisions about our dress and grooming. First, let's consider 1 Timothy 2, 9 and 10.
All right, we'll just stop it right there for the time being. But what we got here is the governing body just unleashed a beast. I don't think there's any going back. Once you say, okay, everybody, we're relaxing the dress codes, so everyone says, oh, that's wonderful, that's great, I can now wear slacks to the meeting, if I'm a woman, and if I'm a man, I don't have to wear a tie and a suit jacket, a sport jacket. So there we go. Friends, there's no going back. They're starting to see things. In fact, I'll tell you, even one report coming in to the 6 screens in one congregation, there was a man with a full Santa Claus ZZ top beard, no tie, no jacket. Can you imagine that? A full Santa Claus ZZ top beard and going to the Kingdom Hall. let him, and I'm saying to this man who looked like Santa Claus, let him enjoy every moment he's actually being into Kingdom Hall. Good for him that he can express himself, and not have to be micromanaged by the Watchtower, because that's all they've been doing for years. So they said, hey, we're going to open up, the dress code. And now we have former witnesses from all over the place are actually beginning to say, we're looking at people, ex-witnesses like myself, and I haven't seen any out in service or at the carts, but people writing into me and saying, wow, it's just absolutely what's going on with people wearing dungarees, jeans, manning the carts. What do you think? I think it's the King of Dots. What do you think, Dots?
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn down stuff here.
Let's go to the King of Dots first. Go ahead, King.
I'm trying to turn down stuff here. Let me tell you what me and my wife have done. We've been going to non-denominational congregations all over the area, and you know what? It isn't a problem however people dress. Even if women dress sexy, I mean, you're supposed to be a Christian, Yeah, beards down to your belly button. Yeah, it's pretty common. I cannot believe how actual Christian men decide to look like men. And here at Watchtower for what, 50, 60 years, they don't want men to look like men did when God said you were men to him. And it's just despicable. But I've seen lots of people who I was freaked out at. I don't know if you're familiar with Matt something. He was the first person killed in the last war, Iraq. And his dad gallivants all over the area, beard down below his waist. And his son was the first person to die under the last Bush war. Was that the second last Bush war? I can't keep track of it, But anyway, it's all accepted. And yet Watchtower is like 2,000 years behind beards, is what I'm saying. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, King
I
of
have
Dots.
nothing more to say.
Always good. Well, thank you. That's enough. That's a mouthful. Thank you. Let's go to Dick Boogie. Dick, what do you have to say?
Yeah, thank you, Rick. It's interesting that this governing body clown, whatever his name was saying Jehovah is allowing us to make these decisions. I always thought that Jehovah directed everything related to the Watchtower. These are major changes, and evidently the governing body has decided these changes need to be made, irrespective of Jehovah's Holy Spirit guiding them. Well, the whole thing is going to blow up in their face anyway. And if somebody did a real history on the Jehovah's Witnesses, C.T. Russell had a big bushy beard. And the other guy that came behind him, Rutherford, Rutherford started making all these changes, doctrinal changes. And the people that were, or the brothers that were in league with C.T. Russell, they kept long beards showing that they're in harmony with C.T. Russell. And that's why there was a prohibition on the beards. It had nothing to do with the hippie movement or the beatniks or anything like that. That's what it's about. And the Watchtower always disguises what they do with tons and tons of lies. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. Now, what we'll do, we're going to bring Shirley on next. She'll be coming on with us out of New York City, but we're going to bring Tim on. Tim is on our streaming stream live streaming here. So let's bring Tim on and see what Tim has to say. Tim, let's get you to come on and talk to us. Tim, what do you think about this dress code?
Yeah. Hey, Rick, can you hear me?
That's you, Tim. Yes, calling in from Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you.
Rainy here. First of all, I'd say that just listening to the guy is very triggering. He talks to you like all of them do. They talk to you like you're a kid. So slow, so annoying. I don't know how anyone could sit through the whole thing. Just listen to his nonsense. Where are they getting these rules from? They must have a book called The Governing Body, because it's not the Bible. The Governing Body, chapter 2, verses 1. Make up your own rules. if they followed the Bible, they know that it says, do not judge on outward appearance. These guidelines that are given in the Bible, they're just guidelines given to you at the personal level. They're not to be taken by these clowns and spoken to adults as though they're children. Really, like, what do they think, that no one can read the scriptures for themselves and make up their own mind how to dress? Like the previous caller said, it's not a thing in churches. No one gives a damn. With witnesses, it's always been like a fashion show. And just my own comments. I said to Eric last week, I saw some cart witnessing last weekend, and there was two women, both wearing pants. One had a dress on over her pants, and then when they quit the cart, there's a guy who walks up with a beard and he takes the cart, and I'm just thinking, wow, they're such sheep in following all these stupid little commands, and they don't even realize it. I don't know how they can't get it, but anyway, it's just insanity. Thanks, Rick.
Oh, well, thank you, Tim. Good to see you there, by the way, too. My goodness gracious, I like your beard. Geez, you're a handsome young man. A handsome man. Well, thank you. And thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. All right. Let's go to. Well, I got to bring Shirley on first, but why don't you hang on with us?
Rick.
Yeah, who's this? Go ahead.
Anthony Malfino, Springfield, Massachusetts.
Springfield, Massachusetts. Well, that's not too far from me. I'm in Eastern Mass. You're in Western Mass.
It's not too far, man.
Yeah. So what's up?
You know Natick.
I know Natick, of course. Natick Assembly Hall.
Yeah, I built it.
You built it? Well, good for you.
You know?
You must feel bad about it now. You built the house of Satan.
Yeah. I feel bad about a lot of things, Rick.
Well, you sound like you're a happy man. It sounds like you're happy to be out of the Watchtower.
Goddamn right.
Isn't it nice? Don't you like that freedom, Anthony?
I love it, Rick.
Well, listen. Thank you for calling in. We're going to go down to Shirley. She's down there in New York City, and she's not too far from you either. Shirley, what do you have to say, Shirley?
Well, what I was going to say, Rick, going back to the early 70s about this pants issue, I remember it was the assembly of 69, 70, I think around that time, when not only JW, so remember when the role just changed and women started wearing pantsuits? That was in 69, 70, 71. And I distinctly remember this because my mother had one of her studies there with us at the district assembly. And I remember I do not remember who the brother was, but I distinctly remember this brother saying this because I was 11 or 12 years old, hated to wear dresses. So I know this brother said, like, I can't quote word for word, I was just a kid, but basically he said, like, well, brothers, if they're wearing it now, why can't they wear it at the meetings? Or words to that effect. I cannot, remember the exact words, but I distinctly remember them bringing up the issue of pants to the meetings. This is, like I said, 69, 70, 71. And he didn't say, well, brothers, we realize the world like in such a staunch manner. But he said, oh, brothers, if the women are wearing pants in the office or whatever the words were, why can't we wear them at the meetings? But I have to say, back then in my congregation and the, congregation that met after us and in the area in Jamaica, Queens, I've never seen a sister wear pants. I can only speak for my area, but I have never, after that was a district assembly, Yankee Stadium. I have never seen a sister wear pants after that. And if the one thing I remember before I leave this planet, you can put me on a lie detector machine. And I do remember that because, like I said, I was 11 or 12 years old, hated to wear dresses. So I definitely remember that. But I've never seen, at that time, back then in the 70s, a woman, sister, wear pants to a meeting. Never. But I do remember that.
Well, you got a good memory, Shirley. Thank you for commenting. Always good to hear from Shirley. Thank you, Shirley. Yeah, we have got here, we're getting reports coming into the 6 screens. Many former Jehovah's Witnesses are looking at witnesses out at the carts, doing the cart witnessing and going door to door. And Jehovah's Witnesses, former Jehovah's Witnesses, are telling me they really look crummy. They look crummy and they look too relaxed with these new dress rules. There's even some that are wearing jeans out in service and at the cart. Probably, see, this religion now, the Jehovah's Witnesses are realizing that this is getting out of control. The religion seems to want to reel everything back. They're kind of like in a pickle. I don't think they like the idea of just saying, okay, we're dropping the dress codes. I think they want to roll everything back before people start wearing clown pants and flip-flops. I think it's only a matter of time, so they know this could happen. Rules, and more rules. They can't stop with their rules. So while they're attempting to relax the code, they're now having to make new rules. I mean, that's just what the Watchtower's always been. And then another thing that's happening, another thing we see happening on this new dress code in the Jehovah's Witness religion, there is a clash. There is a clash between older generations and younger generations on interpretation of the dress codes. Now, many are saying that, grandparents and older ones are saying they don't like the new dress codes. They think it's kind of going in the wrong direction. And yet the younger ones are saying, no, we love it. We love this the new dress coding. So I think that they're really concerned, but I do know one thing: clown shoes are discouraged unless they're used for medical reasons. So, people might start wearing stuff and saying, I have to wear this. I have to wear these tight pants because I have bad legs and I need support. People might start coming up with all kinds of crazy thoughts. I mean, it's always been that way in the Watchtower organization. Hey, I'm going to go right back here. I want to go back to, let's bring him back on, Adam, to stage. That's the governing body member, Winder rather. So let's see what he has to say. I moved things up, so I want you to hear what he has to say. Let me just get in there and play it. This has to do with, listen in.
We worship Jehovah at the meetings or when we share in the ministry. Let's consider a second Bible principle. It's found at 2 Corinthians 6:3-4. In no way are we giving any cause for stumbling, so that no fault may be found with our ministry. But in every way we recommend ourselves as God's ministers. It's good for us to analyze how our dress and grooming will affect the way others view our ministry.
I just want to bring that up. The brother here, governing body members, saying that we don't want to stumble someone with our dress. Aren't you sick of that? Don't you have, how often did we hear that being Jehovah's Witnesses? Oh, we don't want to stumble someone. Oh, if you wear that, you'll stumble someone. Oh, please get your hair cut. You might stumble someone. Geez, do we have to go through all of our life worrying about stumbling someone? I mean, really, do people in the real world, do they worry about stumbling someone? I mean, really, people go off to work every day. Worldly people, so to speak, do they worry about going to work and stumbling anyone? Where did you ever hear this saying before? But this is pretty common among Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, don't do that because you might stumble someone. That is just completely disgusting. And as I was reviewing this week, I noticed that. So you can't wear something. If you wear if you go out in service and it's a hot day and you don't have your shirt and tie on because it's too hot, now that could bother someone's conscience. Well, I might stumble someone. So, I can see that the governing body is now seeing they unleashed a firestorm. This is going to cause a lot of problems. And when you give someone freedom, I just want you to stop and think about this. When you give someone freedom, it's like all of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. If you give someone freedom like we have, we're not going back. 99.90% of us are not going to go back into the Watchtower because we've experienced freedom. So when you said to the Jehovah's Witness governing body members, when you said to the Jehovah's Witness rank and file, we're going to let you, wear clothing that you like and, come up to speed, come up to the new way of doing business here in the world. And then you come back a couple of weeks later and say, well, now we got to make some new rules on this. It's almost like they're going backwards. So it's frustrating. From what we understand in the notes that I have coming in here, people writing to me who know Jehovah's Witnesses saying it's causing a lot of frustration. It's causing a lot of frustration. Now, we remember, in fact, how Jehovah's Witness governing body members like Tony Morris and Anthony and Jeffrey Jackson, how they would talk about, no, we don't really shun. We don't shun. That's what they would say. They'd say, well, it's a conscience matter. We don't really tell people to shun one another. It's a conscience matter. So this sounds like they're pulling the same gig, on clothing now. They didn't say it at first, but now they're coming back and sounds very much the same. Like, well, this is a conscience matter. And, if it bothers your conscience, they're going to make it sound like it is bothering your conscience because you're not dressing now the way they want you to. It seems like some type of an entrapment, really. Shirley, what do you have to say? All right, let's take a look here. Let me see what else we got going on. Okay, I just want to make sure we did have others coming in here. Did Tim want to come back on? Let's bring Tim back into the arrangement here. Tim, what do you have to say?
Yeah, hi, Rick. What I've got to say about that is when the governing body says there was a governing body back in Jesus' day, they were actually correct. It was called the Pharisees, and Jesus called them out for straining the camel and swallowing the gnat. In other words, you're making small laws for people to follow, but ignoring the big. So they talk about this dress and grooming thing like it's a major thing and you can't stumble anyone, but the elephant in the room is always the child sex abuse. How many people has that stumbled? Probably thousands have left that religion because of that, but they won't address that. So it's BS to say they don't want to stumble anyone. That's a legitimate thing. They could sit down and scrap that stupid 2-witness rule, which is not biblical anyway, because the whole thing, if they want to follow the Bible, Jesus said the greatest commandment is love. That's first and foremost. So that overrides any of their 2-witness crap. Like if you've got love for your members, you would report to the police any child sex abuse incident straight away, and you would know that 2 witnesses for a crime, not a sin, it's a crime, like that is nonsense. So yeah, that's why these trivial matters, they always talk about these things. Why even bother about it? Why even have meetings about it? It's not even a thing. You've got serious issues going on, child sex abuse, shunning, and all this other all the other stuff that is actually legitimate, and they're still going to talk about this garbage. Thanks, Rick.
Well, I'm with you. I'm very much in sync with what you have to say. Let's see what the governing body member here has to say about beards and long hair. Let's chime in here and see what his thoughts are on that.
Help us make good decisions about our dress. Of course, these same principles apply to hairstyles, beards, and to all the ways we dress and groom ourselves. They help us to determine the length and style of our hair. Brothers use them to determine how to groom their beards so that they look sharp and well cared for. And aren't we grateful?
Now, at first, when they first announced that the brothers could wear a beard, they did not mention anything about, the beard would have to be well trimmed. They would have to be sharp. There was no mention of that. Jehovah's Witness men, first of all, need some training. They never had beards. Men in the world, you see men today, and geez, they got beards that are trimmed really good. They had training with that. But the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're all over the map when it comes to, trimming a beard. They're not sure how to do it. So consequently now, they did not mention that when they mentioned that you could, in fact, it was, I forget, Mark Sanderson, I forget who it was that actually said that you could now have a beard. This was about a month and a half ago. So they didn't mention anything about trimming it, but now they're coming back and saying, well, you want to make it look sharp. You want to make sure that it's well trimmed. See, they should have taken that into consideration when they first announced it. So, some of the brothers, they like I told you earlier, I got a report coming in here that a brother had a big Santa Claus beard. And it was like really unbelievable. His whole face was covered, and he actually had it growing long like a ZZ Top. So now they're coming back and saying, wait a minute, too much. We give these guys an inch, they take a mile. But you know something? Let me tell you something. Isn't that true? If you had a cat, let's just say, let's go with a horse. Suppose you had a horse and you put him in the barn and you never let him run out in the pasture. You always had him staying in the barn. So one day somebody left the door open. The horse ran out of the barn. Boy, he's running around feeling his oats, so to speak. He loved it. Isn't that the same way that a Jehovah's Witness would feel? You've been cooped up. You've been pent up. We couldn't wear this. We couldn't do this. We couldn't have a beard. We had to do this, that, and everything else with all these rules. Now, all of a sudden, and, a couple of months ago, they relaxed everything. And then all of the witnesses went running out of the barn, so to speak, and they just went wild on this. They went bonkers on this. Oh, we can do this. Because when I went to the memorial and we did the protest a month or so ago, and we actually seen people dressed really clumsy looking. Now, this was their biggest night of the year. There was one woman there dressed in a sweatpants and a sweatshirt, to the memorial. And brothers had beards. Some brothers did not have any sport jacket or suit on. It looked kind of clumsy to me. So now the governing body is saying, whoa, wait a minute here. This is getting too sloppy looking. We better send a good man, Winder out there, our governing body member, and see if he can't talk some sense into the witnesses. So that's where they are right now. That's my feelings. I think that's what's going on. All right. So there it is. So, okay, let's see what else we get going. Yes.
Hey, it's Eric. I was just going to say that Desiree and I, we called this. We knew that when they did these, lifted the restrictions of the dress and grooming, we were talking amongst ourselves and just saying how the beard police and the pants police are going to come out. You watch, the dress and grooming police. And here we are. It didn't take very long. So basically, all these new announcements haven't done jack crap for me, because I'm still being shunned by my family because I'm an apostate, and I have a really long beard, so I guess I'm still in doo-doo town with the J-Dubs.
Eric, you have never been able to win every single move you made. You can't win. I mean, you can't win for doing the best you can.
I get no respect. I tell you, Rick. I get no respect. Hey, I have a beard. I don't have a beard. I'm in trouble with the shadow. Now I got a long beard. I'm in trouble because it won't be trimmed. No respect. That's a horrible Dangerfield, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, but when they first came out with the ruling, they didn't really suggest to the brothers, as I was just saying, on trimming it. They just said you can now have a beard. They didn't really get into, how to trim it or what have you. But the brothers, they were just thinking the brothers would take it upon themselves to keep it well kept, but not at all. And like I said earlier, with his brothers get Santa Claus beards,
And then how many brothers, Rick, are we going to have that are extreme? The old school and the extreme elders, and they're not going to want beards at all. I just feel like there's going to be a lot. I know I'm a broken record, but I think there's going to be a lot of infighting and division. Certain congregations might be okay with some things, others won't, and I think it's going to tick the people off. I think they're going to start to get really aggravated because, like you said, it's like you give someone some privileges or some freedoms, and then you take it away immediately.
Oh yeah, no, they're not going to like it. No,
great show.
Well, that's what you just said there, and what I said is a sensible statement. We all love freedom. I don't care who you are. Look at all of these people coming into the country right now. They're coming because they want freedom. Who doesn't want freedom? I mean, that is a word that we all long for. So when the governing body comes out and says, hey, look, you can now do this, and everything else, the witnesses, oh, that's wonderful. And now they're backtracking. And a lot of the witnesses, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of clashes, as I said earlier. The older witnesses are clashing with the young witnesses. They go out and service together in the car group. They go to the meeting. And the young kids, the young people, they like the changes, obviously, and who wouldn't? But then the older ones are saying, no, we don't want that. So it's causing a lot of, well, they say causing divisions. So let's go with that. Okay, let's move on to.
Mr. Farron?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think this is who is this? Is Chicago? Yeah, this is.
This is Stefan.
Oh,
Just very
Stefan.
quickly,
Yeah, I couldn't quite hear.
I
Yeah.
work,
Go ahead.
yeah, I work right across the street from a major hub downtown Chicago. There's always witnesses out there. I went past, I think it was Wednesday for lunch, and there was an emotion that took over when I saw the witnesses there, and I couldn't figure out what it was until hours later, and it was disappointment. And I think the reason is because we always had a certain sense of pride about when we were witnesses. Even after we left, just seeing other witnesses, we had a certain sense of pride because they were well dressed. The men were clean cut, they had on suits. Women, they had on their dresses, and we had a certain sense of pride in that. And when I saw these witnesses that were there, you wouldn't have known that they were witnesses if that cart wasn't there. And that tells you a lot. They just look like anybody and everybody else. And the whole time that I was there and eating lunch, nobody came over, and they didn't even look like they were really expecting anybody to come over. So I can thoroughly understand the culture clash, the age difference, but I don't think you can look at witnesses anymore and take pride with respect to their dress and groom. You can really see how this organization is of human origin and not divine, because they made that snap judgment announcement about those changes, hadn't thought it out, and as you're saying, and other callers are saying, it's biting them in the butt. Thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you very much. Always good to hear from you. Really do appreciate you calling in. Okay, that's wonderful. Let's go to 540. It looks like our good friend Pixie.
Hey, there's a way to do casual. You know, the Hawaiian shirt is good because the men's tie can cause heart attacks in the summer. And there's a Caribbean solid colored men's short sleeve shirt that can look neat in the summer. Women can have a nice summer dress or summer slacks without stockings. That's very healthy in the summer. But they haven't talked about how to do casual in a tasteful way like you would do in an office or something. And it's all a distraction because in the meantime in California, there's a criminal in the Santa Barbara congregation area, about 45 miles from there, he's got insurance scams against seniors. And I don't have the full story on this, but there was a podcast that had the whole story on this. And there's criminals taken from the seniors. They haven't solved the blood issue. They haven't solved the abuse issue. They've not said sorry to any of these victims going back to the 40s and 50s. They know everything they do. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, that's a mouthful, Pixie. That's a mouthful, and I agree with you 100%. Well, thank you for calling in. Thank you. All right, let's take a look and see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Yeah, what we've got here, you know, I'm wondering, and maybe you're wondering too, because why wouldn't you? How many lawsuits right now are coming against the Watchtower? How much money are they paying out? Well, I mean, there's really no list that we can bring up here tonight on the 6 screens, but we know there's a whole lot of ongoing lawsuits, and we know it's costing them a lot of money. At every convention or assembly, generally at the assemblies, at the end of the program, they'll have a brother come out from the accounting department, and they'll always say, well, brothers and sisters, we received $4,100 or whatever the amount would be. We received $4,100. We're still a little short, but we want to thank you ahead of time for your kind and generous donations. And then they'll come back and say a little while later, well, we received $5,700 here at this assembly, and we're gonna keep $100 and send the rest off to the Watchtower for the worldwide work. How often have you heard that? Friends, we know where this money's going, don't you? Do you realize this is going to pay off all of the lawsuits on pedophilia and sex crimes in the Watchtower? But, you know, do the people really see this? And I was trying to put together this week some information on how many lawsuits actually are taking place right now. How much money is the Watchtower hemorrhaging? I can't even take a guess, but I mean, I can tell you some of the countries that are having, issues with the Watchtower. I mean, let's start with Norway. Well, Norway, we know, has stopped the witnessers. They no longer get charity money from the country of Norway. And consequently, this is creating some issues for the Watchtower. They hate that. They've, in the last 20 years or so, they've made millions and millions of dollars from the country of Norway, giving them charity money. But Norway said, nope, no more to Watchtower. So consequently, we know that the Watchtower is hemorrhaging there in Norway. And what about other areas as well? I mean, there's so many cases that are going on right now. How about in Pennsylvania? Let's stop here for a second. Let's rest our way of thinking on Pennsylvania. The Attorney General, Michelle Henry, oh, what a wonderful woman. She's a pit bull. She is going after the Watchtower elders like crazy and the Watchtower organization. Well, the Attorney General, Michelle, she actually has charged 14 Jehovah's Witness elders, that's the latest count, for child sex abuse crimes in the Watchtower. And I'm almost positive that the Watchtower is not going to pay them, not going to give the money that they would need. That is the elders that have been accused. I think that the Watchtower is going to leave them out to dry. But the Watchtower is spending a lot of money, is the point I'm trying to make, even though they're not going to probably help the elders involved in child sex abuse, and they shouldn't anyways. I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying they hired. Have you ever heard the name Matt Haverstick? I'll say it again. Matt Haverstick. Have you heard that name? He is a high-profile attorney. And he has been working with the Catholic Church on their child sex abuse cover-ups as well. They hired him. He works with the Catholic Church. Do you know what he gets an hour for his legal service? Do you know what he gets? $2,500 an hour to do legal work. And the Watchtower hired him to work with some of these elders that have been accused of child abuse, sexual abuse in Pennsylvania. So you can imagine what that is going to cost the Watchtower, $2,500 an hour. We now know there's 14 Jehovah's Witness elders. This is doing nothing but tarnishing the image of Jehovah's Witnesses in Pennsylvania, and the money, oh my goodness, the money's going to run into the millions of dollars. Never mind the Watchtower helping the elders here that have been involved in sex crimes, but we're talking about Matt Haverstick making $2,500 an hour, going into defense of the Watchtower, because Watchtower's on the hook too. They more or less instructed these elders. It's going to be in the millions and millions of dollars. So I do know that. So I'm trying to count up the cost here. It's impossible. Then I know also right now they're in trouble in Holland, Denmark, Japan, Czechoslovakia, Slovakia. All of these countries are coming down big time on the Watchtower, and more people are coming forward and filing lawsuits. Friend, it's got to be into the millions and millions of dollars. I don't think the Watchtower has enough money to pay for it. I really, really don't. I think, like I said last week, it's only a matter of time before we probably see them go belly up. And then look at how would I ever know how many lawsuits? Nobody knows that. No ex-witness knows how many lawsuits are coming against the Watchtower right now. There's no singular database that would give the public even an idea. We can kind of speculate, but there's no single database that would give us an idea of how many lawsuits. Because, I mean, this spans across all the 50 states and into many countries of the world. So how would we ever have that information? Even for the Watchtower to keep track of it all has got to be a monumental task. There's just too many jurisdictions here to cover. And even if you broke down all of the branch territories, it would still be challenging to complete this data. So how is it that we could ever possibly even suggest how much money? But I can tell you this, it's millions of dollars a day. Millions of dollars a day that is being sucked right out of the Watchtower coffers to pay for all of these lawsuits. You have, not only do you have the punitive damages, you have court costs, you have all kinds of costs that go along, the legal costs, copying costs. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And that's why you're hearing at these assemblies and conventions that, we're running a deficit. We need more money. Please give us more money, because the Watchtower needs more money, and they want to keep squeezing the people to pay for these lawsuits. Does anyone want to take a shot? I mean, nobody really has the answer, but who would like to take a shot on how much money? Now, listen, folks, we also have, now these are just the lawsuits that we're aware of. How about all of these people that have been molested by the Watchtower and they're settling out of court? How much of that is going on? But they don't want to be dragged to the court system and have to revisit all of these problems they had at one time. Now, you just stop and think about it. Suppose you're Joe, ex-witness, and you say, my daughter was raped by an elder, and I don't want to drag her through the court system. I'm going to get my little SUV, and I'm going to travel up to Warwick, and I'm going to be knocking on their door. So you go up there, you talk to the officials, you talk to the lawyers. Hey, look at my little daughter Cindy here was molested, and I got proof of it. We know this guy was a pedophile, but I don't want to go to court. Please write me a check right now for $100,000. How much of that is happening? I mean, really, does anyone want to take a guess? I'm just curious. I'll take a guess, and I want to say, well, I want you guys to guess first. How much money, and I mean, we're all just guessing here, but how much money do you think the Watchtower is paying out in lawsuits, or will eventually have to pay out? Who would like to take a shot at it? Dick Bogey, you run with us. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to guess at $500 million.
That's exactly the figure I was thinking, Dick. Now, $500 million, that's 500 million. Now, is that a sizable amount of money, Dick?
It would break my budget.
Well, I'm telling you, that would break the budget of a lot of businesses. There's plenty of businesses in this country. I mean, even good sized businesses that don't have, $500 million to pay out. That would bankrupt them. That's serious money we're talking here. So who else would like to take a shot at it? Dick and I think 500 billion. I think that's low. What do you guys think? I'd like to hear from you. You think that's low? What do you think? Now, come on, Nick. This isn't a game here. It's just having some fun. You don't have to hit the nail right on the head because nobody knows. But I'll go with 500 billion. I'll go with 500 billion right off the bat. Any other takers at all? Any other takers? I have another figure in mind. That it could go as high as $1 billion, Dick. I'm going to settle in about 500 million, but I'm going to say $1 billion. And I can see that they're playing all kinds of games. They're trying to raise as much money as they possibly can. And even on that governing body update that I brought on at first with Winder on there, the governing body member talking about dress codes, they also had on that video on how you can help with disaster relief. This is another way the Watchtower is really raising a lot of money, is through disaster relief. Oh, our brothers in Africa. Oh, they had a drought. Oh, they had floods. They need money. So that's another way the Watchtower is raising money right now through disaster relief. And they're not giving the brothers and sisters anything out of their own pocket. It's coming out of the brothers and sisters' pockets. So that's one way. And another way they're trying to raise money is up in Ramapo. We don't hear much about Ramapo. That was going to cost the Watchtower $350 to $500 million, upwards of $500 million to put this movie studio together that they don't even need. We don't hear much about it now, but that was another scam in my way of thinking. That was a scam to get people to, oh, let's give money to the Watchtower for our new video center. It's not going to happen. And at least that's the way that I'm looking at it. It seems to be on hold right now because they're looking at it seriously. If you have all this money going out the back door, I mean, any company has to bring in more than's going out. And I'm telling you right now, the Watchtower's got a lot of money going right out the back door. Why wouldn't they with all these lawsuits? And you think about it. I mean, this just doesn't even take a mathematical mind here to think about it. Every week I come on here, I talk about the child sex abuse problems in the Watchtower. Every week there's somebody. I didn't even bring it up this week. There was 2 other people that were involved in sexual abuse in the Watchtower. It's so common I don't even bring it up on the news anymore, Dick. Unbelievable. So who wants to take a shot? What do you think? You think the Watchtower can survive this avalanche of lawsuits? What do you think? Do you think the Watchtower can swim through this tidal wave of difficulty and get on the other side? Do you think they'll swim? I think they'll sink. What do you guys think? Am I on track? Is the Watchtower going to be able to stay in business with all of this encumbrance? I'm beginning to think not. Now, go ahead. Yeah, you're on with us. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah. I actually don't think they will, because I think more and more countries will keep coming forward. I hope eventually, maybe by the time we get to our election, a little after the election, maybe we'll see it here in the United States where they're going to come against them. And I think they're going to really take a hard look at this shunning, because it is a violation of human rights. And there's so many outcries going on all over the world. I think you could maybe possibly see a lot of lawsuits just off the shunning, let alone pedophilia and also the wrongful deaths from the blood doctrine. I think it's only going to be like an avalanche in time. That's what I feel.
Well, Thomas, I have to agree with you. I believe right now the Watchtower is infected. They are infected with lawsuits. They're suffering. They're impaired. There's nowhere for them to go. Their organization is so tarnished. They're trying to stay afloat. But in the world of business, and they are a business, they have to keep bringing money in order to keep paying this kind of money out. So all of these lawsuits that they're now experiencing, I think, is catching up on them. And at some point, they're just going to have to say, look, we can't do it anymore. They're trying. I mean, I suppose we give them an A for effort for trying, but their minds are now warped. They don't know what to do. Friends, I talked about this before. There was actually 5 stages of a business collapse. I've mentioned this before. And stage number 5 is you're looking for every answer in the book. You want to keep your business alive. You don't know what to do, so you're willing to grasp at anything. And the Watchtower has been grasping at anything. When you think about it, in the last few months here, by changing the dress code, by saying, okay, no longer have to report time. These are monumental changes in the Watchtower, and they have to do this. They're grasping for straws, and this is what happens in a business collapse. Now I'll tell you what I'm waiting for. I'm really waiting to see dissension at the top. Now, we've already seen Tony Morris leave, or he got demoted, or whatever happened to him 6 months ago. We don't know for sure. But see, this is showing dissension at the top. We don't know that for sure. But I'm willing to go on the record here to tell you this is what happens in a business collapse. You're going to get the officials, the governing body members of the highfalutin characters at the top of the ivory tower. They're going to start disagreeing with one another. This is what happens in a big business. They'll say, well, no, let's not do this. Let's do that. I don't agree to do this. No, let's do this. This is what goes on. I believe that's going on right now, because why wouldn't I think that? Why wouldn't why wouldn't you think that there's a lot of dissension? Do you think a lot of this stuff, look at that governing body member that came on tonight, a Winder. Look at him coming on and, kind of backpedaling on the dress code. Well, what do you think that's all about? Why would you come out just a month ago and say, okay, we're dropping the dress code. Now you're putting more rules into place. That is now also what I noticed. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but what I noticed is that was directed by the branch office. They announced it. This is a directive by the branch office, not by the governing body. Now, the governing body 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, they were the ones that changed the dress code. It was them that was delivered by the governing body. Wants you to know we are now going to change the dress code for Jehovah's Witnesses. Now we have this governing body member, Winder. He comes out, as I just showed you the clip tonight. He comes out, and this is now from the branch. The branch is putting this out. So is this dissension? Maybe I'm reading more into this than there is. But, governing body and branch, it's two different entities here. There's two different positions we're talking about. So is the branch office of the United States not agreeing with the governing body? This was kind of strange. I picked up on it. Might not be anything, but I'm beginning to think I'm starting to see dissension at the top. And that's what I'm looking for. If we have dissension at the top, that means it's going down. Because that's what happens in all these great companies. They're all going to fight. They know they're losing their position. Do this, do that. No, don't do that. Please do this. This will work. That won't work. That is what's going on right now. That's the fifth stage of a business collapse, and we're seeing it happening in the Watchtower. Isn't that a good thing? And Thomas brought up something too. Hodgkins, he was just on, and he brought up something that makes an awful lot of sense to me. And that is, and I've been spewing this out too for many months here on the six screens within the last year. Many years I've been doing this program, upwards of 20 years. It'll be 20 years in January. And I've been doing it every Saturday night. But one thing, years ago, in fact, let's just roll the clock back even 5 or 6 years ago. The apostates didn't have the traction. We weren't getting any score on the scoreboard. It wasn't lighting up for us. We were going nowhere. It seemed like a dead-end street. It was like barking up the wrong tree, so to speak. But lately, look at all the people coming out and doing YouTube videos. Look at all the people posting on Facebook and making Facebook groups. Look at all of the people on TikTok, on Instagram. It is just exploding. But let's even go a step further. Let's take a look at all of the nations that are fighting against the Jehovah's Witness. Norway, Denmark, Japan, Sweden, Canada, United Kingdom. All of these nations, there's more too, folks, and they're all coming against the Jehovah's Witness organization. They've had enough of them. Hey, let's hear what 516 has to say. Go ahead, 516. You're on with us, 516. Star 6, unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, is this Jay? Yes. Go ahead, Jay. We can hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with you, especially in Holland. They're really pissed off about the way they're treating their children. In one of the Watchtowers, I remember my dad was alive. They had a father who was sitting at the wall because he couldn't eat with his son. They will not even sit at the same table. My dad didn't buy into that. He said if you're going to get my house at the end when I die, I can talk to my son. I'm sorry about the noise in the background, but that's something that can't be helped. Anyhow, I love you. I love what you're saying, and it's true. And Denmark especially, they don't like to lay money out for a cult that just destroys families. But then it costs them even more money. Just like you said, and it's true. You're going to give money for reparations to people for their spirituality, and then you're destroying the family. I thought I would share that. Thank you for letting me talk.
Well, Jay, anytime at all. Listen, before you leave, though, Jay, I want you to give me your address. I want you to give me your address where I can send you some stuff. I got some stuff I want to send you. You talked last time you were on last week about Germany and how the witnesses were involved with Adolf Hitler, Joseph Rutherford. So I got some information I want to send you. I have a PDF file. So send me where I can send this to your email. All right.
Oh, JW News.
Yeah, send it to send it to jwworldnews@gmail.com. JW World
Yeah.
News, and I can send you that. A man by the name of Nathan Natus. He heard you talking. He sent me a beautiful. Oh, it's unbelievable! All the stuff that happened in Germany with the witnesses and Joseph Rutherford, how he was cozying up to Adolf Hitler. But what I wanted to say also, send me your address at the nursing home because I got some books I want to send you too.
Can I leave it on your call you on your home number?
Yeah, call me on my home number and give it to me. Yeah, don't do it now, but say this week. Just call me, okay?
Well, what did he have? He had a book on Hitler. I think about Hitler.
Oh yeah, no. Joseph Rutherford. It's a known fact. He was very concerned about Adolf Hitler during the war. Was going to close down the Bethel in Germany, Magdeburg.
Right.
And Magdeburg was the second. Actually, Germany was the second most populated area for Jehovah's Witnesses, next to the United States. So what Rutherford was concerned with is Hitler was going to close the Watchtower down in Germany. So he sucked up to Hitler. He wrote him a letter saying how he agreed with the things he was doing, and even agreed on how he was coming against the Jewish people. I mean, it's really unbelievable. I'll send you the PDF. In fact, I'm going to mention right now, if anybody else wants that PDF file of Joseph Rutherford involved with Hitler, write me at JW World News and I'll get you the file. It's unbelievable. Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to stand on the side. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Jay. Always good to hear from Jay. Okay, let's go back to Dick Boogie. Dick, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Rick, there's something that's really bothering me. Excuse me. This Smurf girl, and with the allegations she's making against you and subsequent to that, 6 screens of the Watchtower. This is a very, very sick woman. I know you've been gracious to her, wanting to give her a break and give her some love and so forth, but you're more loving than I am. I like to throw her out of a 24-story building. But just a few things I want the audience to know because I've been there. I was around when Arnez passed away, and I know a lot of the ins and outs of that. Surf Girl is alleging that you've had sex with this one and that one, and that she's a chandler for the Watchtower. But the allegation that's preposterous and ridiculous, that it really irks me, is that you threw the love of your life down the stairs and subsequently you murdered her. That is what she's putting out. And I just like the audience to know, I wasn't there when Inez died, but I know a lot of the circumstances around it. Rick had a program that he had at his house where on every Sunday morning he would work up a sermon, and a number of us newbies, so to speak, would come and listen to Rick's sermon. And I would go about an hour early and I'd pick up some Dunkin' Donuts and I'd sit there in the kitchen and people would come in after me. I had a lot of conversations with Inez, and I mentioned this last time I was on 6 Screens. She always told me what a loving husband you were, how hard you worked for her, how well you took care of her. When I first met Inez, she was very, very sharp, very witty, knew her Bible. And as the brain bleeds and all the other problems that she had with her brain, she started losing who she was. She started losing reality, and she would fall down a lot. I was there and I saw that. And at the end, close to the end, she didn't even know who I was. And I used to have coffee with her every Sunday for 2 or 3 years. I've gone down to Rhinekill, whatever it is,
Ringgold.
Pennsylvania.
Ringgold.
Ringgold, thank you, Rick. Ringgold, Pennsylvania. I went down with you and her a number of times. A wonderful lady, and she was absolutely, totally in love with you, and you were totally in love with her. It showed. And I saw that. I don't know what Smurf Girl is thinking, but it has to be the influence of Satan, the devil, or drugs, or both. That's my opinion. I can't prove that, but that is my opinion. And it would seem inconsistent for someone like Rick Farron to spend $500 a month for 6 screens and the platforms of 6 screens. He's done that for 20 years. That's somewhere in quick math over $100,000 of his money for people he hasn't even met, just to get people out of the Watchtower and to set the captives free. A man of that caliber doesn't turn around and throw his wife down the stairs. There was no life insurance money. There was no other woman in the wings. There was none of that stuff. And it really irks me that she could put that stuff out there, in cyberspace. Another thing that I think the audience should know, because she's out there saying this every week, is that when Arnaz passed, you called me that day. I was up in almost on the Canadian border with some friends of mine. And the next day I drove down. When the police came to Rick's house, he called the ambulance first, and the ambulance comes with the police. There was a tragic accident. There was blood all over the place. They took Rick and he said, okay, you can't touch anything, Rick. We have to do an investigation. They had, 2 or 3 detectives come in. They went, they did all the things that detectives do. And they found out there wasn't even an inkling of any impropriety, not even an inkling of it. If there were, there would have been an indictment. And if there were an indictment, there would be a trial. It didn't even go to an indictment or anything like that, because the detectives and everybody knew it was an accidental death. She passed out going down the stairs, and she cracked her head open. And as tragic as it was, that's how it was. And I can remember the very next day they released Arnaz to Rick, and I met them at the funeral home. And she just fell and cracked her head at the bottom of the stairs, and that's all there was to it. I saw Rick's grief. I was blessed to do the funeral talk with Bob Porter, and Rick was really devastated, although we knew that her death was, her demise was going to be imminent, because we could see the degeneration of her physically and mentally. So we knew it was on the way. This girl, Smurf Girl, she's sick. She's a very, very sick woman. I don't know why she's doing this to Rick. The only thing I can think of is Satan the devil does not want 6 screens on the air. It's a fact. The Satan the devil would love to have people stay in bondage to 6 screens, have the Jehovah's Witnesses look to the governing body as their direct source to our Heavenly Father, which they are not. I can't tell you how much all of this just bothers me. It just irks me, and I think the Smurf Girl, is controlled by Satan the devil, or is influenced by Satan the devil. And I want to know something else. Rick did not call me up yesterday or the day before or anything. He didn't call me and say, Rick, Dick, can you say something about Arnaz's passing? He didn't do that. I'm doing that, and probably taking up too much of the time on this program. But I just really think that it needs to be said that Rick is a very loving guy. He's extremely kind, and he's very good to a lot of people. And if you run across Rick in your life, you're going to benefit by it. And I'm sorry, Rick, if I'm embarrassing you here.
Well, no,
I
in
know
fact,
you
well,
don't.
what it is, Dick, is what it is, I'm not, you're saying things I can understand your aggravation. Smurf Girl was on our network. She had her own program on here. We did many of conversation together off of the radio air as well. I have no idea what's happened to her. She was kind of concerned that somebody, when she came on the sixth screen, she accused me of letting some guy speak up. But that's what happens. This is a live program. And then I get nailed for people who come out and say things. But, she said some things that were pretty outlandish. And people have a right to question her on that. So, but I'm gonna let it go with that. I'm not gonna beat her up at this point. I hope that. But the thing that did tick me off is, like you said, I don't think anybody would like to be accused of murder, especially accused of murdering your husband or your wife. Imagine, put yourself in those shoes. That never happened, folks. But that's what she accused me of. But let it go with that. I'm just hoping be water under the bridge and she'll move on and forget about it. But you guys all know that never happened. Thank you, Dick, for at least bringing that up.
Rick, you look.
Yep.
Rick?
Yes.
Jay, can I ask you a question? Was that Veronica?
Yes, it was. Yep. Oh,
All right, you got a loaded cannon over there, and I'm thanking Dick for bringing it up because I got set up one time by a guy I didn't even know. Had 3 detectives at my door with a poison letter, and I went through. I cleared it, but it scared and made me right after my mom died. So I'm getting to see the devil goes in many simple ways. But I didn't trust from the beginning. I don't like the things I heard in the tunnels, Bethel, and everything. The stories were too good to be true. So I respect Rick because I know how he is, and I see the true person he is, and not he's not like he's not running for president. He does this on his own dime. He does it because he loves people. He does it because he knows what it is to have no one at the end of your life and to talk to. You talk to Rick, you talk to this line. Dick knows it also. And this has saved my attitude has changed since I got on this, because even though I no longer, the witnesses, they wouldn't even help me. And that's wonderful, because you know what? You're doing me a favor. They wanted me to go to some other nursing home, get reinstated. I don't need this nonsense. I have to just, I take one day at a time. There's more love in this program, especially Anne Marie and Dick. You've been guys that have been through a lot of crap, and I will, and I'm fine. I just can't. I had a heart attack, big deal, and it takes a while. And I like the way I'm getting room day-to-day service here, meals, and then they're walking me to therapy. People, the thing is, there's a lot of love in this place, Constance, and all the memories I remember. Rick brings out the best of us, because we were all hurt, Dick, especially you, by what they do to people. And then I got Anne Marie, where she's walking with her children, and the son of a gun wants to buy a car, and the elder won't take installments, and they used to laugh at her. They're very vicious, very sick. All right, I don't want to get angry, but I gotta tell you one thing. When I saw my dad in a wheelchair with one leg, going every weekend, he had time. He did it to run away from his wife. Basically, he was this fanatical. But the thing is, to look for kids and then put $1,500. He promised them every month. He'd give it to Kingdom Hall every month. And then the cops questioned him in San Diego if he was stealing drugs out of a wheelchair, which he it didn't bother him, because he had been through the Nazis in Europe. And the thing with the Nazis is they're Nazis, and they're not, and you don't see it. You think he's in a good humor, man. They'll give you a good humor. They'll also take your money at the end, pat you on the back, and take your wallet at the end of your life. Guaranteed. Number one, guaranteed. Thank you so much, Rick, and Dick. Time.
Well, Jay, you certainly did suffer from that. Well, anyways, this is Six Screens, JW World News. This is the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about it every Saturday night and every other Sunday. We've been doing it for 20 years, 19 years actually, going on 20. Well, we've got more stories to talk about, friends. I have to tell you, I got the picture of the week. The picture of the week. I want you to see the picture of the week. And we're going to bring that up right now. I don't know if you caught this at all, but well, before we go and show the picture of the week, let's bring on Tad from Japan. And let's bring his week. Okay. All right. Okay, Japan, you're going to have to shut your YouTube off and go ahead. We'll bring you on. You can talk. Okay. Go ahead, Tad. You're on with us.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you have to shut your YouTube off because we're getting echo in the background. Let's bring on Tad from Japan.
I'm Todd from Japan. Just one word from Japan. Quickly, everybody, leaving Watchtower. Quickly. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Well, there you go. Yes, there's Tad coming in from Japan. Thank you, Tad, very much for coming in and being with us here tonight. Yeah, we got, if you want to come on video, there's the link. You can see the link right there. You can also see the link on the YouTube description box. If you want to come on in video or you just want to come on and talk on the 6 screens tonight and voice your concerns about the Watchtower, by all means, come on. Let's take a look and see what else is going on. Let's see this. Let's talk about the picture of the week. Has the art department, well, they've come up with some serious humor here. I just want to see how many people out there in the audience. Did you ever watch Saturday Night Live? Do you remember the church lady played by Dana Carvey? Do you remember the church lady? She would come on and she'd be this real religious woman on Saturday Night Live. Well, let me show you her picture to bring back some memories of you, because I'll tell you, I came across something in a Watchtower magazine that kind of let's show you the church lady first. Let's do this. Okay, let's show it. All right, now this is a picture that was in the Watchtower. Now you can see them singing. I mean, who sings like that when you stop and think about it? Who really stands there and sings like that? But this woman right here, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but the woman in the forefront with the glasses and the beige coat on, she certainly resembles Dana Carvey playing the church lady. Now I'm going to put the church lady up here. Well, there's the church lady right there. Now, if you watch Saturday Night Live, 20 years ago, maybe a little more than that now, I'm kind of dating myself, but that was in the 80s and 90s. In fact, the 80s and 90s, yeah, like 30 years ago. That man right there, Dana Carvey, that's his name, and he would play the church lady on Saturday Night Live. And then all of a sudden, I see the picture in a recent Watchtower magazine. Look at that. Is that her? Is that the church lady? Well, I mean, it's not out of the question that Watchtower sometimes will copy pictures, or maybe somebody just was having some fun in the art department. But I'm glad to see that the irony of this whole thing is seeing the church lady singing kingdom melodies. It's humorous. I thought it was kind of fascinating. So I wanted to show you the picture of the week here on the 6 screens. We're going to start doing that. Every week now, we're going to have the picture of the week right here on the 6 screens, Tele Network. All right, let's take that out. So you got an idea. I remember too, the Watchtowers back in 1982. I believe it was 82. It was an Awake magazine, and they were sued by the Johnny Walker Red Company. That's the people who make the scotch, and they were sued by Johnny Walker Red for plagiarizing or copying a billboard. Now, as the story goes, the Watchtower wanted a picture on the Awake magazine of a man, a silhouette of a man on a wharf going out into the ocean and fishing. And sure enough, the Watchtower came up with the article. And as the story goes, it was a Watchtower Bethelite in the art department that was walking through New York City and saw a billboard of Johnny Walker Red. Oh, that's what they want. And he kind of copied it. And so the Johnny Walker Company, who makes the scotch, was going to sue Watchtower. So Watchtower had to retract the magazine. A few of them got out. I do have a copy of one. In fact, if you do have a copy as well, hold on to it, that is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. It's already worth a lot of money. So that particular one's 1982 Awake. I forget I think it was November. I'm not sure. But anyways, that they retracted it and they came up with actually 2 editions, from what I understand, for that particular article in the Awake magazine. So anyways, it's still, a lot of public, I tell you what, I'm not bragging, not boasting, but I have got a storage facility that's costing me $300 a month just to store Watchtower magazines. I feel someday that they're going to be very valuable. They're going to be very, very valuable because, they're trying to get rid of all these old magazines. They're trying to delete them from their website in the Watchtower library. They've called, an order in for all of the older publications to come back to Watchtower, and they're destroying them. They're burning them. I heard they're burning them at Watchtower Farms, and they've been calling for all this old, send your older publications in to us and we can use them. But no, they're burning them. They have a place out there where they're burning all the literature. They do not want all of this literature that is so indicting, all of the false prophecies, all of the screwball statements that have been made in Watchtower publications, but I've got them all. I got them going all the way back into the 1940s, even some stuff in the 1925s and 30s. So I've got them all. I'm saving them. I got them in storage. Someday I'm going to pull them out. Someday it's not even for the monetary value of it. It's to expose the Watchtower. We got you, baby. We're going to indict you. We got the real publication. These are not internet reprints. This is the real McCoy, right from the Watchtower articles themselves. Hey, you're on JW World News. What do you have to say? What would you like to say? Do you have any older Watchtower magazines? Do you know that some of them are worth some pretty good money, some more than others? Do you have the Awake magazine with the 1914 on the cover? Do you have that one? How about the Awake November, I think it was May of 83, with the picture of all the young people that gave their lives up for refusing a blood transfusion? Do you have a copy of that? Hold on to that. That's worth some money. The one with the generation, the picture of all the old people that would not pass away before this system would end. Well, they all passed away and died. So hold on to those magazines. They could be, valuable, but not only in terms of monetary valuableness, but also in terms of exposing the Watchtower. Well, we have got another story for you right here. How about in Japan? Now, we had some people calling from Japan tonight, Ted and his wife. They are former Jehovah's Witnesses, but right now in Japan is really putting the Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, i.e. Watchtower, under the microscope. Did you know that? Yeah, they are actually concerned about the way Jehovah's Witnesses treat children. And it's not all about sexual abuse either. Japan is concerned that the Watchtower is inciting fear into young people. Did you have fear incited into you when you were a young person? Also, Japan feels that the Watchtower organization, Jehovah's Witness religion, they feel that they're restricting young kids' freedom. Well, I certainly go along with that. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't play sports in school. No, you can't do extracurricular activity. No, don't do that. So they're really concerned with this. But I'll tell you what's really got the country of Japan ticked off against the Watchtower. And it has to do with the abuse, the physical abuse in the Watchtower, and how children are being beaten up by their parents. Were you beaten up by your parents? We talked about this before, the 6 screens. It's brutal how many parents treat their children. They want them to, love Jehovah or we're going to beat you. That's basically their position. Go ahead, New York. You're back on with us, Jay. All right. Well, Jay was on. I guess he must have unmuted himself by mistake. But were you beaten by your parents? Man, I have to tell you, I've had more.
Yes. I was. You there, Rick?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, Jay, were you beaten by your parents or what?
Yeah, but it was because of religion. It was because my father, that was the way he was brought up in Holland. The father he used to strap, when I upset my mother with the howdy doody time, I'd dance in front of her after school. It's howdy doody time. And my mother would get upset. And then my father, he'd come home 12 hours working as a butcher, and then he'd take the strap to me. And chase me down the stairs. It traumatized me. But I tell you, one day I said to him, I'm old enough, don't do it. I'll use it on you. Then he stopped. But he was a good guy. I loved him very much. I just want to say one thing. You don't realize, I don't know if you do, but you realize the impact you have on people's subconscious, and you give them a hope. Like once they leave the Watchtower, where do they go? A lot of them, that's why they don't leave. Where do you go? Because you're never going to get the same kind of, you're not going to go into a cult. So you have to, but like, this place, you really save people that way. And I'm sorry if I'm not staying on topic, but you have a major impact on people's lives, and you're a really kind person, and there's no problem. It's the way it is. No BS. And you see it. You're seeing what you get here, and like it or take it, Rick's a damn good guy who cares and loves people. So thank you, Rick.
Well, I appreciate all the kind words, but we're not the only ones doing this. There's a lot of people, Jay, that are now doing YouTube. There's a lot of people that are helping, many of Jehovah's Witnesses. 6 Screens we got a good jump start. We were one of the first to do it back in 2009, 2006, 7. We started exposing the Watchtower. 2009, we went on YouTube. There's only 5 other people. We were the first ones to hit 1,000 subscribers. And then we kind of went off.
You're the only one on a radio show like this for nearly 20 years. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't know of anybody else. Barbara Anderson's been around too. Barbara Anderson and I, but she's part of our network now, so we work together with that. But yeah, her and I have been around for like 20 years plus, but we're still moving forward, not giving in, up or out, Jay. And it's all working. It's helping people. Yeah.
Any of your children ever talk to you off the side? I mean, even though they were told not to.
Any of my children, well, I have to tell you, I mean, I will say it even on the air, I guess, that my children are beginning to contact me. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so they're seeing some of the fallacies. They're seeing some of the falsehoods of the Watchtower. And now I'm starting to get even my children taking a look at what's going on here. So I think it's wonderful. And in fact, I have to tell people, Jay, I have to really tell people, if you're listening into this program tonight and you're being shunned, well, I got news for you. You're going to be getting calls from your relatives and your friends very shortly because they are having more doubts than ever before about the Watchtower. And, they don't want to eat crow right now. But what are you going to say to them when they call you up? But don't be mean to them. Be very, very nice. I got a call from one of my children that I haven't talked to for 20 years. 20 years. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I got a call. Now, how do you handle this? At first you would think, well, I don't want to talk. My goodness, my own child wouldn't talk to me. But that's not the attitude to take, Jay. No, because these people, it's not them. It's the Watchtower that put that screwball feeling in their head to begin with. So, now they want to talk. So don't hold them hostage. Show them love. Show them concern. Practice what you're going to say. That's my advice to anyone listening into this program tonight. Practice what you're going to say when a close friend or a relative that hasn't spoken to you for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years even. What are you going to say? Now, the first thing is, I don't want to say a thing to those people. No, don't do that. Show some love. Show some concern, Jay,
I want to just say one thing. I saw the elder that disfellowshipped me when I went to Barbara's place in Brooklyn Heights. She lived in a wealthy area on Montague Street, and the elder was there with his wife. The elder who disfellowshipped me, he didn't recognize me because I got heavy and I got older, but the reality is his wife was there in a walker. And once he once he lost his wife, he lost it all. He was the publisher of the Awake magazine, Harry Poloin. Have you heard the name?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, he was my overseer. I tell you, he was a military guy and everything. I don't have no malice towards him. He did what they told him. He didn't become the governing body, nebulae, whatever they call it. I had another guy, Dan Molson, who was up in there in Walkdale, and he used to study with me and my dad. And the reality is, what comes around goes around. They hurt people, and it comes right back to them. You wouldn't believe the crushing effect he wrote in his article. But what he did to people, he didn't. You asked what did it hurt? You said before, did the Watchtower hurt you as a kid? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Did it hurt me? Come on. That's a probing question. They can't even give it to psychiatrists. They can't even. Did they hurt me? These son of a guns. They almost destroyed my life if it wasn't for doctor's help. Did they hurt me? They destroyed everything, and I just say it the way it is. I went through it. Now I can go talk about it. They're very dangerous, and I'm not BSing you. Some people have been even go on the edge of roofs to prove a point, and I was one of them. How do you like that one? I'm putting that out for people. That's how disturbing it was when they tell you you can't. We're not going to back you up as a ministerial as a minister. You got to go to. You can't go to Vietnam. You can't take CO status during Vietnam War. We're not going to back you up for a 15-hour difference. What are you crazy, you people? You got to be out of your mind. You take everything from a person, and then you don't give them. Then you don't give them nothing. You won't even support them. They're ungodly. They're demonic. Thank you, Rick. God bless, man.
Oh, Jay, you're a good guy. Thank you, Jay. He's in a nursing home in New York City. Former Jehovah's Witness had a program on here, Watchtower Behind Closed Doors 2 years ago. We all love Jay. Okay, so anyways, we have been talking here tonight. We've been talking up a storm. We've been talking about many, many things that are going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Boy, they continue to, I mentioned earlier, almost every week when people send me articles about the news, when I'm going through the internet looking for news about the Jehovah's Witnesses, there's always something that strikes me as, boy, there are more perverts, more sexual deviant people in the Watchtower than you would ever think. I don't even bring them all up on the Six Screens. We wouldn't have time to do it. But we had another case of a voyeurism. Yeah, an elder, from what I see here, a Kobe, that is the coordinating elder. That's the head elder in a Kingdom Hall congregation. Well, he was arrested for voyeurism. He was peeking into windows of houses, trying to peek on women taking showers and kids taking showers. I mean, why do I have to read stories like this all the time about, men in the Watchtower that are perverted? What is going on in that organization? And, that's just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Every single week when I review the news, there's always something. And, I'll tell you, we had a voyeur, and just for the sake of classifying what that is, a voyeur is a person, well, they used to call them peeking Toms. Remember that? You'd hear about a peeking Tom. And it was some perverted, sexual, deviant person, male generally, that would go around looking in the windows of his neighbor's house, trying to spy on women taking showers or undressing. I mean, they would get their real kicks out of doing something like that. But now what we've got here, it's no longer like a peeking Tom. People are using cameras. They're putting cameras on toilet seats. They're putting cameras in hotel rooms and trying to catch people in an act of sexual intimacy or perhaps undressing. And this is pretty sick going on, and it's happening in the Watchtower organization. But the reason why I bring this up is this happened in the congregation that I was going to right here in Wilmington, Massachusetts. And we had a young brother, and I really thought the world of him. I liked him a lot. And boy, we'd go to the coffee shop and he'd come over and we'd have coffee together. I could have been his father, really. He was a young kid and he was smart. And my former wife, Inez, she says, I don't like him. I said, don't say that, Inez. He's a nice young kid. No, there's something about him I don't like. And so I said, no, don't do that. So we had a little bit of a disagreement on that, right? I liked him, she didn't. But then what happened? Then what happens? Only a short time after that, that I got word from one of the elders told me that he was a voyeur. He used a camera to record kids taking showers in his house. Now he had a book study. He actually had a book study in his home, and he had a camera set up in the bathroom. So when the sisters went in there during the book study, well, he would take pictures of them. How gross is that? Well, that's exactly what he did. And then I remember also one of my children, one of my daughters, well, she would go over and babysit their dog. They would go skiing and she would watch the dog over the weekend. And then she found out about the camera that he had set up in the bathroom, and she was still living with me at the time. And I remember that she came home one day from service and she collapsed on the kitchen floor of my house. I said, "What's the matter with you?" She says, "Oh, Dad, did you hear? Did you hear about Rick?" That was his name. I won't give his last name, but did you hear about Rick? And well, he was taking pictures of people in the shower, and I took showers there, and she was so upset. I couldn't believe it. I thought I might have had to run her off to the hospital. That's how bad it was. But so they moved him on. But you know something? Very little was said. Very little was said in the congregation with this guy practicing, voyeurism, taking pictures of nude women and children. And so one of the brothers in the hall, he had two little kids that would go over his house, and he knew that he took pictures of them in the shower. And one day at the Kingdom Hall, I'll never forget this as long as I live, that he actually, when the voyeur, the person who was taking the pictures of the kids walked in the Kingdom Hall, the father was there and ready to punch him out. A bunch of us had to jump on the brother because he was going to kill the guy, really, right in the Kingdom Hall. So this goes on. Don't think this is Jehovah's pure organization. Don't think that this is so squeaky clean. It's not. There's more problems. There's more deviates. There's more innuendo that goes on than you ever believe. And I know you guys believe it. You can all come on here and tell a story, I'm sure. But voyeurism, pedophilia, rape, all kinds of sexual nonsense and deviant sexual behavior that takes place in the Watchtower. Boy, am I glad Satan kicked me out of that organization. I really had enough. We all trusted. Didn't we all trust everybody? We all trusted everyone. Oh, we let our children just get up and go to the bathroom. If you're listening into this program right now and you go to a Kingdom Hall and you have children, you walk in the bathroom with those kids. That's how dangerous this has become. Don't let them go to the bathroom by themselves. You don't know what deviant is in that Kingdom Hall. This is a magnet. The Jehovah's Witness religion is a magnet for sexual deviants. And they get away with it because they get away with it knowing the elders will protect them. Oh, we don't want to bring reproach. Let's not talk about them. We don't want to bring reproach upon Jehovah. Jay, what do you think? Do you agree with me, Jay?
Yes, I do. I wanted to say, when I was at Assembly Hall, they insisted that an older brother of a young boy, like 6, 7, 8 years old, would go to the bathroom. He had to be accompanied by a parent or a parent. They didn't want him really, even at Assembly Hall, and putting that out there for people. They couldn't even trust the people they were within. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. And
I never thought. I never thought about peaking toms. I mean, it's not something I was interested in. I never thought of it, and then you're giving me things that it makes sense. It wasn't on my scope, but they tell everyone to be aware of everybody else in the world, and it's look out for the mailman, look out for the delivery guy, look out for the pizza guy. These things I can see. But then within the hall itself, that's the sanctuary, the sacredness of life supposed to be, where you're protected from everything. And yet I'm hearing this stuff documented by the local news and police. So it's a good lesson. I'm glad you're peeking Toms down, known as voyeurism. Thank you for bringing it up, and let the people out there check it out on your newspaper. Jehovah's Witnesses peeking Toms. Google it. See what happens. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, you'll find a lot about it. Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you for calling in. But just to kind of let's go to Virginia. I believe that's good friend Pixie. Go ahead, Pixie.
I just want to say how neat it was that the brother called in from Japan and mentioned that he and his wife were in Japan and that so many witnesses were leaving there. And sadly, the problem in Japan is that the children are getting beaten by their parents at the kingdom halls. And this was in big numbers in the 50s and 60s in the U.S. congregations, but it's big numbers in Japan now. And regarding the people that have such a twisted view of sexuality, on the other side of this, what's very sad, sometimes a sister will be dating a brother or a young man who's not a witness. She could bring that young man to the Kingdom Hall in a suit and tie, and they'll try to make something tawdry out of it when lots of young people are very, very pure and good and in love and want to get married, and they make that out to be something bad too. So both sides of the coin, the sexuality is twisted by these elders.
Well, thank you, Pixie. I always enjoy your comments. So that's exactly right. Twisted by the elders. Pixie, always good to hear from you. Thank you. All right, let's go.
Hey, Rick?
Yes, let's go to Randy. Yes, Randy.
Yeah, I just, you reminded me a lot about that one brother you knew that took the videos. We had one here in Oklahoma. He was a regional manager of a large restaurant chain. And how we learned about it, that some of the workers there, none Jehovah's Witnesses, just waitresses, happened to know my daughters, and they were telling us about it. Did you know he got caught out in the mall? And he was, taking these pictures in dressing rooms and stuff with his camera. We had no idea. I called up the elder to report it because nothing was ever said at the meetings about this servant. So I called the elder about it. He says, yeah, we know all about it. That brother had a problem with some internet pornography, and it's being handled. Well, no announcement was ever made. Nothing like, nobody ever knew inside the congregation. We wouldn't have found out about it if it hadn't been for the workers at that restaurant chain. That brother moved off to another state, to another congregation. So, I'm sure if they didn't announce it here in Oklahoma, they didn't announce it in the other state either. So they just keep it, they make it worse by just keep covering it over. So I just wanted to share that part. And you one more different subject, but you asked, was we ever traumatized when we were kids? Well, if you remember those magazines in the Awake, the articles on the atrocities in Malawi, that very much traumatized me. I mean, I just can't say how bad it was. Thinking today, it would be those articles are so graphic, so sexual in nature, and graphic and violent, sexual violence and such. They would be considered illegal in the Oklahoma public schools.
Well, you're absolutely right. And by the way, Steve Rose is saying hello to you on Facebook chat here. So he,
hey, Rick,
he's listening in. Yes,
hey,
go
Rick.
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
It's Steve.
Hi, yes.
Good. The society, real quick, is just following the fine example of David, one of the biblical peeping Toms.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you bring that up, Steve, because he was a peeping Tom. He's looking at Bathsheba, right? He was looking at Bathsheba. He shouldn't have been doing that. I mean, that was a peeping Tom. He was one of the original ones, right? But he paid the price. He paid the price, but he was a peeping Tom. But, boy, I'll tell you, the Watchtower could use that, I suppose, in defense if they ever brought one of their elders to court, right? Well, it's in the Bible. David was doing
sure they would.
Well, good. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I want to tell you, did you guys ever lay in bed at night and you kept awake by something? You couldn't sleep? Well, in fact, I do this a lot when I think of the Watchtower. I find things at times very, very captivating when I'm going over the list of things Watchtower is involved with. But, one thing that always pops up in my mind as I lay there at night and stay awake, what is the biggest lie that I have ever heard in the Watchtower? Now, I'm sure you folks out there are thinking about it as well. It's very arousing to look through all of the lies the Watchtower has been involved in. But, I'm finding that they've been involved in so many lies that it's pathetic. And I'm thinking, well, what was the biggest lie? There's many of them, but I almost have to there's two of them on the list. There's two of the biggest lies that I've ever heard in the Watchtower that I have to put on the list. And maybe you guys might like to share a lie that you think would be big. But I would say the first biggest lie that I've ever heard in the Watchtower is that Jesus selected them in 1919 to lead all other religions. They were the only one chosen by Jesus. That is a bald-faced lie. That I cannot comprehend how they could even make such a statement. So the 1919, Jesus selected us, the Watchtower, as God's only true organization. Bald-faced lie. Then I think, there's many of them, and you guys have some too. But I would say the other lie that I would put Watchtower in quicksand over this one has to do with 1975. That 1975 was just the thoughts of a small group of people. Do you believe that? What a bunch of bald-faced liars. What do you guys think? Do you have a lie?
Mister.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
I think for me, the biggest lie, one that really angered me when I left the Watchtower and read the Bible for myself, was this teaching about the great crowd. It's very clear when you actually read the scriptures. The great crowd just has to do with spirit anointed ones who were non-Jews. In other words, Gentiles, because that's what they were opening up their work to, was the Gentiles. They were rejecting the Jews in behalf of the Gentiles. And so the other sheep is not some group that's going to live on earth and doesn't go to heaven, and Jesus isn't their mediator. So that was the biggest lie for me.
Well, that's a big lie. That's a big lie, Stephen. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest lie for me was they're teaching their followers that the creator of the universe uses them exclusively to carry out his plan, his master plan for humanity. That everything that they do is directed by the Holy Spirit. That's a lie.
Yeah. Well, no, it is a lie. In fact, we have the biggest lie by Rebecca Wise. She says the biggest lie we have is we call it the truth. It's far from the truth. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Rebecca. Yeah, I mean, we have so many lies. Thank you, Dick, for that. How about, let's check here. I mean, there's so many lies they told. I mean, I don't know how they get away with all these lies, but they call it war strategy. It's just amazing to me that they can get away with all of this. And I have to tell you that it's many people are now waking up and smelling the Bible. They're realizing that, the Watchtower is involved in so many things. How about, I mean, I think of, I got a book here that we give away, Millions Now Living Will Never Die. That was written in 1925. That's a big lie. Chewy, what do you think? Let's go to Chewy out in Oklahoma. 580. Chewy, go ahead. You're on.
Well, yeah, it's true. That big lie on the truth thing is a toss-up between the 19, because I got that book. Then I got the truth book that my mother studied with at the table, at the kitchen table with her, with her Bible studies. And I found the one that she used, and it's got my name scribbled in it. I scribbled my name in there about 6 or 7 years old, 8 years old. And I opened the book, and I know I can hear her voice in my head saying, now, why is it wise to examine our religion? why does it have to be that chapter that I remember? I have no idea, but that's why I remember. So that is a doggone lie.
Boy, all these lies, Chewy. In fact, there's so many more on the list that I got thinking of. How about blood transfusions? You know, if you took one, that would be something that would displease God. Would it really? I mean, would God want you to die for refusing a blood transfusion? So many people died because of that lie. So, you know, there's so many other lies as well. JP, let's bring you on from California. JP, what do you think?
Yeah, Rick, here's a recent lie. I mean, it's not so recent, but I think a little before Anthony Morris was removed from the governing body, he was talking about a statement that somebody was writing in about the Ramapo project, which is their $500 million studio that they're trying to build. And somebody was saying, you know, we're so close to the end. What's the point of building this facility? And he was trying to say that, you know, after the Great Tribulation and Armageddon, that no doubt that, you know, I think he used some kind of a weasel word or something, you know, there's possibly, you know, that we could be using that in the future for spiritual education or something, as if, you know, the internet's still going to exist and all kinds of stuff like that. And if God is really in control, why would he need, you know, that little stupid movie studio? I mean, are they really going to film like educational movies just to show these films to resurrected people in the future? I mean, it's just absolutely absurd. I think that's probably one of the weirdest things I've ever heard him say, especially so recently. That's all.
Well, JP, thank you. Yeah, well, there you go, another lie. I mean, I've got.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your lie? Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, this is Chad. And the lie that I thought was awful big was the one that they would never belong to the United Nations. And that's the one that woke me up, because they studied so much and everything was taught about they had never belonged to the United Nations. And then here they did.
Well, that was a big lie. That was a big bald-faced lie, Chad. I'm with you with that. Now, how about this one, Chad? How about when, you know, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower used to always tell us that, you know, being a Jehovah's Witness is the happiest life you'll ever have. You'll be so happy being a Jehovah's Witness. I mean, that's
yeah.
I mean, can you believe? But they would say that. They would say that all the time, that, you know, we're the happiest people on the planet. That is a lie and a half. There's no question about that. Jeez, I'll tell you. All right. Do you guys remember some lies? What would you say? What would you say would be a lie of the Watchtower? Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what lie I hate, and just hear me out for a second, is the lie that you hear when you're disfellowshipped and trying to come back, or even just disfellowships, and they reach out to you. Come back to Jehovah. That's a lie. That's a lie that Jehovah and Jehovah's Witnesses are the same. And that lie pisses me off more than any other lie. Maybe it's not considered technically a lie, but it is, because to think that those two entities are the same is ridiculous. And it feels like an insult, because how many people have been disfellowshipped for stupid things that aren't even the sin in the Bible? You know, so where's the sin in that? But anyways, thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you, Eric, for that. Another big lie that Jerusalem was conquered in 607 BCE. No historians agree with that. Other lies, I mean, we could talk about this all night long, but we don't have time. We don't have time. We got another program coming up, a great program coming up. Let's go. We're going to one more lie. 714. You're on with us. Go ahead, 714.
Hi, Rick. It's Nadine.
Hi,
from
Nadine.
California.
Hi.
Hi. I was just going to add on to what JP was saying about Ramapo and how they're going to use it for the resurrected. They're going to show films to the resurrected ones that come back. And I actually had heard this from a friend of mine, and her mom told her that, and her dad is an elder, so I had heard that also. But it's also the same thing that Rutherford said about Beth Serene, that the mansion was going to be for the men of old, the Bible men. They were going to come back, and then they were going to have a place to put them, which was in San Diego, California, at Beth Serene. So it's the same thing that the brother said about Ramapo, that it's going to be for the resurrected ones.
Oh, that's a great comment, Nadine. Thank you for bringing that up. That makes total sense. Thank you. You're doing your homework. Thank you, Nadine.
Okay.
All right, let's
Have a
go
good
to.
evening.
All right, let's go to what we did have. Let's go back to Todd, Tad. That is in Japan.
Thank
Tad,
you,
go ahead.
Lick.
Yeah, what do you think?
I was 17 years old. I bought a book, Harp of God. The book, like 1799, last day began, and 1874, presence in Jesus Christ. Oh, big lie. Oh, bye, Lick.
Oh, there you go. That's wonderful. No, I agree with you 100%. Nothing but liars. Thank you, Ted. Geez, I'm so glad you called in tonight from Japan. Yeah. What time is it over there? What time?
Yeah. AM 10 a.m. 10:30 a.m.
So that'll be 10:30. So that's Sunday morning. Sunday morning. Yeah.
Yes, Sunday morning.
Oh, there you
Yes.
go. Well, here we are. We're still on Saturday night. Well, thank you, Tad, for calling in.
Thank you, Lick.
Hey, you made my night. I really like it. Thank you, Tad. Don't be a stranger. Come back and see us. All right, let's take a look here. We're going to go to the duck. We're going to go to the duck. We're going to give some clues. I want to give the books away. I got some beautiful books I want to give away. Now, Pixie and Eric, your books are on the way. You should be getting them this week sometime if you haven't already got them. But anyways, let's take a look here. I got some beautiful books I want to give away. I want to give you some clues. Let's see what the secret words are tonight. Now, when people call into the program, if they say a secret word, the duck comes down and gives them $100. But I don't know if anyone said it, but if someone did, remind me and you'll get the prize. The secret words tonight, I'm going to give you a clue. I'm going to give you a clue and give everyone a chance to win a book. So let's start with this one. When you went out in service in a car in the good old days, right? We all got in a car. What did they call that?
A car group.
Is that you, Nadine?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you won it. Send me your snail mail address, and I'm going to send you a nice book off, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you got it.
That was easy.
Was
that was super
easy. I made it too easy, Nadine, but you're a smart woman. I mean, you picked up pretty quick, you know?
That's okay.
Right.
I remember that too well.
All right. Let's go with another one. Well, when we were out on service, the door-to-door work was very, very difficult, but we always look forward to the
donut break.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, Dick, Dick, I gotta bring you on. Let me take a look over here at Facebook. Okay, nobody got it. But Dick and Nadine are very close. Dick, I'm gonna give Nadine your book, okay? Because I just sent you 3, right?
Sure.
Okay. So was that
What
Nadine?
was the answer? What was the answer?
It was coffee break. You said it. Dick said Dunkin'
Oh, yeah,
Donuts.
well, there was always coffee with the donuts.
Yeah, well, Dick said Dunkin' Donuts, but you said coffee break, so I'm going to give it to you, okay? All right, let's go with this. When we were out in service, and, we no longer exist, but we had to turn in something to report our time. What was that something form called?
The time slip.
Yep.
A time slip.
Service report. Monthly service report.
Yeah. Nadine, are you reading my notes, Nadine? Did you?
No. I was just around it for like a very long time, like over 50 years at least.
Well, some of these big casinos where they have these big time high rollers and they card counters. They won't let them play. I'm almost thinking of restricting you, Nadine.
You can give it to somebody else.
No,
Third one.
you get
That's fine.
you got 3 books, but make sure you give me a snail nail address. All right, let's go with this. I'm gonna make the clues are too easy. The clues are too easy. I got to make them harder. Okay. So when Nadine's too smart. Let's go with this one. Now, when we all went out in service, it was really a chore, but there were certain people that seemed to make a career out of it. What would we call those people?
Pioneer.
Who said that? Who said
from Pioneer, Carolina?
Who said pioneer?
Auxiliary Pioneer.
Actually, who said pioneer?
That was Chuck from South Carolina.
All right. Well, you won yourself a nice book. I'm going to send you a nice book here. I get some beautiful books. Why don't you send me JW World News? Send me your snail mail address where I can send it to, and you got a book on the way. Okay, a nice book about the Watchtower, and I think you'll find it very, very interesting. Thank you, brother. All right. So, boy, I'll tell you what, we're getting people guessing here tonight. So let's go with this one. All right. Let's go with this one. When we went to the convention, we all loved the Danish muffins. We all loved the burritos. We all loved the sub sandwiches. But what was the brand name of the soda?
Shasta.
Who said Shasta? Who said?
I don't know. A couple of us.
Was that JP? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was JP. JP, send me your address. Yeah, we had. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we might have had Tall Come Warm come before you on Facebook, so we might have to give it to Tall Come Warm. Tall Come Warm, send me. I'm sorry, JP, but she did beat you to it, or he. I'm not sure. So let's go with that one. Send me. I have to get an address, though. I can't send something to someone without an address. So let's take another look here. Let's go one more. We got a couple more here. I want to get these books away. The man that gives me the books, he says, Rick, we got to get more books out. We got to get more books out. So here we go. I'm going to give you a little bit harder one. You know, we used to go to the book studies. All of us used to go to the book study. And, that was my favorite meeting, really, because you could kind of relax a little bit. It was a smaller group, but we went to the book study. But what was a word they used for the book study back in the 1970s? What was a word they used for the book study? They didn't call it a book study. They called it what in the 1970s? I'll give you another clue.
Bible study.
It began with the word. It began with the letter R. We would meet at our. We would go out in service at our rendezvous. Rendezvous. Do you remember that? Am I an old timer here?
No.
They called it at one time. They called it the rendezvous. All right. So thank you guys for. Boy, I'll tell you what, the phone lines really light up. They like this. They like this section. Maybe we'll have to do more of this. Maybe we can go back to our Watchtower trivia here one of these nights too, because you guys really like this stuff, huh? We'll play more of this. Yeah, I want to get the books out. We got a bunch of books here, so let me know. Those are one books that are on the way, so don't you worry. You'll be getting them the next week or so. So thank you very much for playing our little. The duck comes down and gives you a free gift. All right, so that should do it. We want to thank everyone for coming in tonight to JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. There'll be no 6-screen. Well, there is a 6-screen Sunday. I'm sorry. There's a 6-screen Sunday tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock. Now, we take on a spiritual feel on Sunday. We don't get into scriptures of the Bible or anything on Saturday night. But on Sunday, if you've left or you have feelings concerning the Bible and scripture and theocracy, well, by all means, tune in tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock. with our Knowing God program after leaving the Watchtower. And then at 2 o'clock, we do what we have. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, former Jehovah's Witnesses give their Christian testimony. Then at 3 o'clock, we do JW World News Sunday edition. 4 o'clock, we have the Christian Court. Peculiar questions that are answered about Christianity. And then at 5 o'clock, if you have Bible questions, by all means, Jay Hess will be on tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you all for coming in tonight. We really appreciate your presence. I don't want you guys ever to give in, up, or out. I want you to keep waving that flag of victory. And listen, don't ever let your visions die. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower. By all means, turn off the new light. Stay with us. We got a great program coming up next. How about the elders in your marriage? Have they interfered in your marriage? Well, we have Dick Borgie, his wife, Constance. We have Angela and Dan Clark coming on. It's going to be a great program. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us on these channels, on the Facebook channel as well as the YouTube channel, and they'll be coming up very, very shortly. We appreciate your presence tonight. Let's end the program here, and then we'll go into